yourself and all of your secrets. Why are you doing this?
I had triplets. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have stability. I didn't have security. I was trying to escape my pain.
Get into your heart.
I was just trying to run away from that feeling.
But I want you to be authentic, I want you to be real, and I want you to forget that anyone else is here. All right, we're starting with the questions now.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to remove, I don't want you to see me. I don't want to be distracting for you.
Imagine a story as personal as it is universal, as struggle as private as it is pervasive. We are entering the world of Paulina Pantyleva, a brave woman who dared to share her life as a secret sex addict. She opens her world with an unexpected analogy. Like a person binge-eating pizza, she describes her behaviors as a form of self-destruction.
When I have dysfunctional coping skills, and whatever I'm feeling, whether it's sadness, it could be happiness, it could be anger, resentment, whatever I feel, I take it out on my vice, whether it's food or sex. When I was a little girl, I was sexually molested by a teenage boy who was the brother of my best friend. When that molestation ended, I remember binge eating for the first time. A connection was made. At age 35, I had gained a lot of weight, and I went to see a hypnotist to hypnotize me into not eating as much. And very soon after meeting the hypnotist, I started a sexual affair with the hypnotist. And I proceeded to lose about 25 pounds in about 3 or 4 months. And I thought that the hypnotist was extremely talented and was able to work wonders with my weight. My husband at the time, he discovered our affair and he broke up with me. And he made me go see a therapist as a condition of us reconciling. At the time when I went to see the therapist, she pointed out to me the inverse relationship between my sex addiction and my food addiction. The sex addiction was my mania, and the food addiction was my depression. That is how I put it together to make sense, but sometimes they occurred at the same time. So when I go to a buffet or any type of setting where there's excess of food, it's not there for sustenance. It's there initially for just pure pleasure and gluttony. And I don't have an off button on me. I will keep eating and eating until there's no more food, or I just am so uncomfortable that it's difficult to sit in my chair. Food is it's my weapon against me, and it has taken me 40 years to learn how to eat. I don't know why I chose food as the tool to destroy myself with, but it has caused me a lot of health problems, where my weight has yo-yoed from 120 pounds to 185 pounds. The connection between the food and the sex addiction is that they are two sides of a dagger. They hurt me equally, and it is my dysfunctional coping skill that I use interchangeably. When I have access to food, I eat in excess. And if there's an opportunity for me to indulge sexually, then I take it to the extreme as well.
Her encounters are distressing. She speaks of her reluctance, even repulsion, in her dealings with a character named Jack. Yet she finds herself continuously drawn into such encounters.
It was a repeated pattern of me doing things that made absolutely no sense, things that disgusted me. And it was the cycle of addiction where I would have a strong craving, I would have short-term gratification, then long-term consequences, and I couldn't stop. And at first, in the case with Jack, I was flattered and complimented that any man would pay attention to me.
Paulina's confusion is tangible. She can't comprehend why she attracts situations that make her question her self-worth. Her stranger encounters, she labels them as disgusting, which deepens the disconnect between her actions and self-perception.
I had such little self-esteem that I needed to get my validation entirely from another person. So at first, I would be wooed by the flattery. Then in my mind, I would create a huge fantasy about the person I was interacting with, that they were fun, they were good looking, and that we were going to have a wild, fun, sexy time. And only a sex addict could create such a fantasy in such a short time. The actual sex was always a huge disappointment because it would be in the worst of circumstances. It would be in bathrooms, it would be in cars, it would be in some alleyway or in some situation where there wasn't privacy, and it was fast and rushed, and it was not enjoyable at all. And after encounters like this, from there I would feel regretful. So At age 48, I still, even though I was older, I was not wiser. I broke apart my family and I broke up with my husband because at age 48, I became intensely infatuated with a stranger. And in the course of 3 weeks, I had completely lost my mind and I projected a fantasy onto this stranger that we would run off together, have a relationship, have a fantasy world of tango dancing, and live a fairy tale life. There's a thrill to doing something extreme. For example, I would hook up with someone off the internet and just hanging out, watching TV. I did not think that it was romantic or sexy, but for whatever reason, it gave me a rush to push the boundaries of what is considered normal. So I would create situations where I would have group sex with complete strangers, and as I'm doing it, I would be completely regretting, even in the moment of having oral sex with multiple men, but I would still continue to do it because I thought I needed to be treated this way. I didn't know it at the time. It was all subconscious behavior. I thought that I deserved some sort of punishment. So while the feeling started as a thrill and as an escape, it quickly turned into a punishment because I thought I was a bad person and I needed to be punished this way. I broke up with my husband. I told my children and my parents that I was leaving my husband. And the same day that I broke up with my husband, this man that I was infatuated with asked me for money, and that broke the spell. So at that moment, I realized that I had made a huge mistake.
Yet, in the midst of this turmoil, there comes a turning point. Change occurs when the pain of addiction overpowers the reward, she confides. This revelation marks her journey towards healing.
My husband I had broken up with him. He left. And the gap between him coming back to me and him leaving me, that was my rock bottom. And I knew that I could only take so much and he could only take so much with our relationship, that if I did not change my ways, it wasn't going to survive another episode. There had been too many betrayals and we couldn't survive another betrayal. This was the last time that this could ever have happened if I wanted our marriage to last. At that moment, I decided I need to get help because everything that I had been doing up until this time was not working.
She candidly talks about navigating societal expectations. As a middle-class suburban mom, her addiction is a stark contrast to the societal archetype.
I was a medical doctor and I felt like I was held to a higher standard, and I should know better than to eat myself into oblivion and to have sex with strangers into oblivion. And even though I was, quote, a smart person, it didn't stop me. And it just made me feel even worse about myself because I had no control over my behavior. Sex addiction does not exist in my demographic. A sex addiction is something that affluent, powerful white men are afflicted with, and especially if they're religious. But it does not happen in people who are women, who are white-collar professionals, soccer moms. Since writing the book, there's a lot of women just like me. They are everywhere. They are around you at the supermarket, they're at your church and synagogue, they are at your PTA meetings. There's a lot of women that suffer like I did.
The act of writing about her experiences has been both cathartic and complex. It has helped her understand her addiction better, but also has magnified her feelings of shame.
I have completely disarmed my shame and my guilt by writing this book, and I'm still learning about myself, and it's empowering me every single day to do better, and I feel like I can share.
Her anger, resentment, shame, and guilt were interwoven into her addictive behavior, and her profession as a physician added an additional layer to her journey towards recovery. As she approaches the milestone of turning 50, she shares her urgency to change. She speaks of not wanting to still be a mess and uses this impending deadline as motivation for recovery.
The milestone of age 50, it was critical because my health was deteriorating. I had a history of cancer at this point, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, I was overweight, I was depressed, and I was mentally a mess. And I had a binge eating episode after my sex addiction episode that threw me into a 30-pound weight gain in about 2 or 3 months. I was completely out of control, and I needed to get myself together before age 50, because if I didn't, I felt like there wasn't hope for me. I was just getting older and nothing was changing. So I set a time limit. By age 50, I need to fix this. And I did.
As we delve into Paulina Pantyleva's world, we discover a story of strength and vulnerability, of resilience and recovery. Her journey is a testament to the power of self-awareness, acceptance, and the courage to change.
My name is Paulina Pantyleva, and this is my story.
I'm going to ask you the question one more time, and we're going to flow through this. You got this. You spent many years harboring intense feelings of anger, resentment, shame, and guilt. Can you elaborate on how these feelings interacted with each other and contributed to your addictive behavior?
I have been sad, angry, resentful, guilty, ashamed, all of these feelings ever since I was a child. And all of these negative emotions are what made me want to escape those feelings, because addiction is a maladapted coping mechanism. It was my self-medication. That is what addiction is to anyone. It's their self-medication. And I medicated my feelings with my sex and my food addiction.
Sex addiction is indeed a topic shrouded in shame. How has the act of writing about your experiences influenced your perspective on this addiction? Has it been therapeutic, or has it perhaps added to the shame?
I thought that I caused my sex molestation. I thought I attracted it. I thought I participated in it, and I believed that I was bad because I enjoyed it. And from there, that guilt that starts when you're a little girl, it continues into every aspect of life. I felt guilty that I thought I caused my son's physical disability. I was devastated by that feeling for decades. And it caused me to try to escape that emotion by indulging in sex addiction. And then at the same time, the sex addiction would punish me for being a bad person, for causing my son's disability, and for enjoying my sexual addiction. And I now know that those were all lies that I was telling myself, but it was the fuel to the addiction.
How's your relationship with food now?
My relationship with food is so much better. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. I can still eat the house and eat a lot, but I do not identify myself as a binge eater. I do not identify myself as a compulsive overeater like I did in Overeaters Anonymous. I declare myself to eat like a normal person. And that means that if I want to eat more than normal, that's okay. If that's what I want, I'm enjoying it. I have the upper hand over food, not the other way.
Okay, now, the beginning. Which should be easy. Now all you have to do is introduce yourself. Say who you are and why are you here right now? What are we doing?
My name is Paulina Pantyleva. I am an American suburban woman, and I want to help other women just like me to recover from sex addiction, from food addiction, whatever addiction is destroying your life. I've been there, and I can help you.